Widowed millionaire marries the wrong woman until the housekeeper saves his family. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. There are moments in life when you look around and think, how on earth did I end up here? For Lily Hargrove, that moment came exactly at 3 o'clock on a sunny June afternoon, sitting alone in the last pew of Grace Community Church, watching her father marry a woman who looked like she had just stepped out of a luxury perfume commercial, and who, Lily was absolutely certain, was lying about everything, especially about loving her father. Lily was 15, with stubborn brown hair that refused to stay in any hairstyle, and a remarkable talent for reading people. Not by their voice, she had been deaf since she was 3, but by gestures, tiny expressions, the way someone moved their hands when they lied. And Veronica Voss? That woman was a walking lie wrapped in Chanel silk. Her wedding dress was white and tight, with that kind of shine that screamed, "I cost more than a car." Lily watched her glide down the aisle like a runway model and made her first sign of the day in sign language. From the back of the church, half hidden behind a column near the side door, Ava Granger, the Hargrove Mansion's housekeeper for 4 years and Lily's best friend in the world, nearly choked trying to hold back a laugh. Because what Lily had just signed looks like a wedding cake that expired 3 weeks ago. Ava covered her mouth, shoulders shaking. Lily turned slightly and winked at her. The two of them had a silent pact: survive the day with humor. Because the alternative was crying. And Lily had already cried too much in the last 5 years. 5 years since her mother, Caroline Hargrove, had died in a car accident on the Pacific Coast Highway on her way to pick Lily up from school. 5 years since Lily's world turned upside down. 5 years since her father's smile disappeared, until Veronica Voss showed up 6 months ago. All perfect teeth and French perfume. And there he was now, Nicholas Hargrove, billionaire, CEO of Hargrove Industries, one of the most powerful men in Los Angeles, standing at the altar in a Tom Ford tuxedo, looking at Veronica as if she were the answer to every prayer he'd ever said. Lily bit her lip. She wanted her father to be happy. God, she wanted that so badly, but something about that woman was wrong. Completely wrong. Reverend Thompson, a white-haired man who had known the family for decades, opened his Bible and began the ceremony. Lily couldn't hear the words, of course, but she knew the script by heart. She'd seen this kind of scene in 1,000 movies. While the Reverend spoke, Lily watched the guests. First row on the left, Margaret Sutherland, her father's business partner, wearing a hat so ridiculous it looked like a piece of modern art. Lily signed to Ava. "Is that thing on her hat a bird or a satellite dish?" Ava faked a cough to hide her laughter. Third row on the right, Richard Blackwell, the family lawyer, looking like he was mentally reviewing every clause of the prenuptial agreement while pretending to listen to the ceremony. And then, Veronica. Lily studied the bride. The smile was perfect, too perfect, the kind of toothpaste commercial smile that never reaches the eyes. And Veronica's eyes? Cold. Calculating. While the Reverend spoke about eternal love and commitment, Veronica looked at Nicholas the way an investor looks at a high-return deal. A chill ran down Lily's spine. Her father deserved better than this. But he was smiling. For the first time in 5 years, Nicholas Hargrove was truly smiling. And because of that, and only that, Lily swallowed her doubts and decided to accept it. At least for now. The Reverend reached the vows. Nicholas took Veronica's hand, and Lily saw the diamond ring on her finger shining so brightly it could probably be seen from space. "I, Nicholas Hargrove, take you, Veronica Voss." Lily looked away. It hurt more than she expected. Not because her father was marrying again, but because at that very moment, the chair beside her, the one where her mother should have been, was empty. Always empty. She blinked quickly, forcing the tears back. Not here. Not now. That's when she felt a gentle hand on her shoulder. Ava had quietly walked down the side aisle and now sat beside her in that empty chair. She didn't say a word. She didn't need to. She just took Lily's hand and held it tight. And in that moment, Lily realized something. Ava had become more than just the housekeeper. Over the past 4 years, while her father buried himself in work to forget the pain, Ava had been there. Learning sign language from YouTube videos at night. Talking with Lily in the garden. Making pancakes for breakfast, laughing at her terrible jokes. Ava had become the person who understood Lily, and Lily loved her for that. I now pronounce you husband and wife, Reverend Thompson said with a broad smile. You may kiss the bride. Nicholas pulled Veronica into a kiss, and the church erupted in applause. Lily didn't clap, she just watched, and that's when it happened. Veronica turned, still in Nicholas's arms, and her eyes met Lily's. For a split second, so fast no one else noticed, her perfect smile disappeared, and in its place was something cold, almost cruel, as if saying, "You're in my way, little girl." Lily felt her blood run cold. But before she could even process it, Veronica was smiling again, waving at the guests like a newly crowned princess. Lily looked at Ava, eyes wide, and signed quickly. "Did you see that?" Ava nodded slowly, her face serious for the first time that day. "I did, and I didn't like it one bit." The couple began walking down the aisle hand in hand under a shower of white rose petals. The wedding march played loudly through the speakers. Everyone smiled, took pictures, celebrated, everyone except Lily. Because as she watched Veronica Voss walk down the aisle like a queen who had just conquered her kingdom, one thought pounded in her head. This wedding wasn't about love, it was about power. And something very, very wrong was about to happen. Lily squeezed Ava's hand tightly and signed one last thing before standing up. "We need to keep an eye on her." Ava nodded. And as the church doors opened and the crowd poured out toward the reception, Lily glanced one last time at the empty altar and silently made a promise to the mother who was no longer there. "I'll protect Dad, no matter what." But what Lily didn't know, not yet, was that protecting her father would mean uncovering a conspiracy, risking everything she had, and discovering that sometimes the family we choose is stronger than the one we lose. And it would all begin with a housekeeper, a secret recording, and a plan no one could have ever imagined. 3 things were certain in the Hargrove mansion after the wedding. First, Veronica Voss now acted as if she were the Queen of England visiting her estates. Second, Lily had developed a special talent for imitating her new stepmother when no one was watching. And third, the late-night conversations between Lily and Ava in the garden had become the only thing keeping both of them sane. It was 10:30 on a Tuesday night when Lily slipped out of her room, crept down the marble stairs, and slid through the side door that led to the back garden. The Beverly Hills mansion was huge, 8 bedrooms, an Olympic-sized pool, a tennis court. But the garden? That was Lily and Ava's sacred ground. Ava was already there, sitting on the stone bench by the fountain, holding 2 mugs of hot chocolate. Lily smiled and ran to her, flopping onto the bench like it was a couch. "Thought you weren't coming," Ava signed, handing her a mug. "Veronica was patrolling the hallways like airport security," Lily replied, rolling her eyes. "I had to pretend I was brushing my teeth for 20 minutes. Ava laughed, almost spilling the chocolate. 20 minutes? Your teeth must glow in the dark now. At least my breath's fresh enough to talk bad about her." And just like that, another night of therapy through jokes began. Lily took a sip of chocolate and sighed. Those moments with Ava were the only time she truly felt heard. Not that she needed ears for that. Ava spoke her language, literally. "So what were the Queen's dramatic acts today?" Ava signed with that mischievous smile Lily adored. Lily nearly spat out her drink from laughing. "Where do I start? Oh, she spent an hour deciding which napkin to use for dinner." An hour. A napkin, Ava. Not a dress, not a piece of jewelry, a piece of cloth to wipe your mouth with. You're kidding. "I swear." She called Mrs. Chen from the kitchen 3 times to bring different options, and in the end, she chose the very first one she saw. Ava covered her face with her hands, her shoulders shaking in silent laughter. She's like a soap opera villain who came to life. Worse, at least soap villains are funny on purpose. The 2 of them laughed until their stomachs hurt. What none of them noticed was that, on the second-floor balcony, hidden behind a white linen curtain, Nicholas Hargrove was watching everything. He had stepped out of his office to get some air. The paperwork for the corporate merger was twisting his brain into knots when he heard the faint sound of laughter coming from the garden. Not actual laughter, of course, but that kind of joy you can feel in the air, even without a sound. And there they were. Lily, wearing her unicorn pajamas, the same ones she insisted on wearing even at 15, waving her hands excitedly. And Ava in a simple sweatshirt, replying with the same energy, as if they were sharing the universe's greatest secrets. Nicholas felt something tighten in his chest. When was the last time he'd talked to his daughter like that? Really talked, not about school, grades, or social obligations. He couldn't even remember anymore. And Ava? God, Ava. Nicholas swallowed hard and looked away. No, he couldn't think about that. He couldn't think about how her smile lit up the garden, about how she had taught herself sign language by watching YouTube videos late into the night, just so she could talk to Lily, about how, in the last 4 years, she had become more than an employee. She had become essential. And that was dangerous, because Nicholas Hargrove, CEO of a billion-dollar company, should not feel what he was feeling for a housekeeper. The rules of society were clear. The differences in class were real. And he had just gotten married, for heaven's sake. To the wrong woman, a voice whispered in the back of his mind. Nicholas clenched his fists and forced the thought away. He looked back at the garden. Lily was doing an impression, walking in circles with her nose up, holding an imaginary cup with her pinky out, and rolling her eyes dramatically. Nicholas didn't need sound to know. She was imitating Veronica. Ava was laughing so hard she had to lean against the bench to keep from falling. And Nicholas, even trying to stay composed, felt a smile tug at the corner of his mouth. But the smile disappeared when another figure appeared on the balcony. Veronica. She was wearing a silk Hermes robe, holding a glass of red wine, watching the garden with that expression Nicholas knew too well, calculated disdain. "They're still out there?" Veronica asked, her voice cold as ice. "They're talking," Nicholas replied, without looking away from the garden. "Talking," Veronica repeated, as if the word itself was poison. "A housekeeper and your daughter, laughing like two teenagers at a slumber party. Ava is important to Lily." "Ava," Veronica said the name with disgust, "is an employee who's forgetting her place." Nicholas turned to face his wife. "What place?" "Her place, Nicholas." Veronica took a sip of her wine, her cold eyes still on the garden. "She's paid to clean the house, not to be your daughter's best friend. Lily needs someone. Lily needs structure, discipline, to spend time with people on her own social level." Veronica turned to him with a sharp smile. "Not with an employee who encourages her to act like that." Nicholas felt anger rise inside him, but he held it back. "She's just a child, Veronica." "Exactly, and children need limits." Veronica finished her wine and started walking back inside. "Think about that, darling." Then she disappeared into the house, leaving Nicholas alone on the balcony. He looked back at the garden. Lily and Ava were still there, talking, laughing, just being themselves. And at that moment, Nicholas realized 3 things. First, he had made a terrible mistake marrying Veronica. Second, he was in love with Ava Granger, and it was going to destroy everything. And third, the war had only just begun. Because if Veronica thought she could separate Lily and Ava, she had no idea who she was dealing with, or how far Nicholas was willing to go to protect the 2 women who truly mattered. If someone asked Lily how her first week with Veronica as a stepmother had gone, she would probably sign, "Imagine a nightmare. Now put high heels on it. There, that's Veronica." But the truth? The truth was worse than a nightmare, because nightmares end when you wake up. And Veronica was just getting started. It all began at Sunday breakfast. The family was gathered in the dining room, the one with the Italian mahogany table that cost more than an apartment. And Veronica was serving pancakes like she was starring in a Happy Margarine commercial. "So, darling," she said, turning to Nicholas with that smile that never reached her eyes, "I've been thinking about Lily." Nicholas looked up from the Wall Street Journal. "What about my daughter?" "Well," Veronica paused dramatically, cutting her pancake into geometrically perfect pieces. "She's 15 already. It's time to start thinking about her future. Prestigious universities, international networking, don't you think?" Lily, sitting across the table, didn't need to hear more to know something bad was coming. The way Veronica was looking at her, it was the same look cats give mice before the strike. "Where are you going with this?" Nicholas asked carefully. "I was talking to Margaret Sutherland last night. You know her daughter studied at Institut La Rosey in Switzerland?" Veronica smiled wider. "The best preparatory school in the world. European royalty studies there. CEOs, world leaders." Nicholas slowly set the newspaper down on the table. "Switzerland? For Lily's own good, of course." Veronica touched his hand with calculated gentleness. "She needs challenges, a chance to mature away from distractions here." Lily felt her blood turn cold. Distractions. She meant Ava and her father. Nicholas opened his mouth to respond but hesitated, and in that 2-second hesitation, Lily saw her entire life crumble. He was considering it. Lily stood up so quickly that the chair creaked. muttered an excuse no one understood, and left the room before the tears could fall. 20 minutes later, Lily was sitting in the garden, throwing pebbles into the fountain with such fury it looked like she was trying to sink the Titanic again. Ava appeared with 2 glasses of lemonade and sat beside her. "Let me guess, the evil queen suggested something awful?" Ava signed. "Worse. She wants to send me to a boarding school in Switzerland." Ava almost dropped the lemonade. "Switzerland? You mean the land of chocolate and overpriced watches? And stepmothers who want to get rid of inconvenient stepdaughters? Lily, she said it's for my own good, like I'm some dog that needs obedience training." Lily threw another rock into the fountain. "Do they teach a class there on how to survive disgusting stepmothers?" Ava laughed, trying hard to stay serious. "They probably have an advanced course, with a diploma and everything. Module 1, how to pretend you don't want to dump hot soup on her head. Module 2, how to smile politely when she insults you in French. Module 3, advanced eye-rolling techniques without getting caught." The 2 laughed until it hurt, but the laughter had a bitter taste. Because deep down, they both knew this wasn't a joke. It was a real threat. In the following days, Veronica acted like a military strategist. On Monday, during lunch at the Beverly Hills Country Club, she casually mentioned the idea to Margaret Sutherland and 3 other wives of Hargrove Industries board members. "Lily is just different." Veronica sighed, pretending maternal concern. "It's not her fault, of course, but I fear that without proper structure, she'll never reach her full potential." Margaret nodded sympathetically. "Institut La Rosie changed my Emily's life. Maybe that's exactly what Lily needs." On Tuesday, Veronica planted the seed with the family lawyer, Richard Blackwell, during dinner. "Nicholas is so busy with the company," she said, her voice filled with fake worry. "He barely has time for Lily. And the girl, well, she spends more time with the housekeeper than with people of her own social class." Richard frowned. "The housekeeper?" "Ava Granger." Veronica said the name like it was a disease. "She's dedicated, no doubt. But it's not healthy for Lily to be so attached to an employee. She needs friends, proper role models." By Wednesday, the poison had spread. Nicholas received 3 phone calls, all saying the same thing. Maybe Veronica was right. Maybe Lily needed a more structured environment. And on Thursday night, during an informal board meeting, the topic came up again. "Your marriage brought new life to you, Nick," said Thomas Whitmore, one of the major shareholders. "But what about Lily? She seems lost." Nicholas clenched his fist under the table. "My daughter is not lost." "Of course not." Veronica cut in, placing a hand on his arm. "But think about it, dear. Institut La Rosie. The best connections in the world. A guaranteed bright future." And in that moment, Nicholas looked around the table and realized Veronica had built an army in less than a week. And without noticing, he was being surrounded. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling fear squeeze her chest like an invisible hand. What if they really sent her away? What if her father believed Veronica? What if she lost Ava? Lost the house? Lost everything again? She had already lost her mother. She couldn't lose the rest too. Lily grabbed her phone and sent Ava a message. "I'm scared." The reply came in seconds. "I do too, but we're not going to let that happen, I promise." Lily held the phone against her chest and closed her eyes. She wanted to believe. She wanted it so badly. But Veronica was winning, and they needed a plan, fast. Because the week of poison had only just begun, and the worst was yet to come. Ava Granger had 3 simple rules for surviving while working in a Beverly Hills mansion. Rule number 1, always clean in silence. Rule number 2, never listen to private conversations. And rule number 3, if you accidentally hear something you shouldn't, pretend you didn't. But on Friday night at 11 o'clock, while she was cleaning the Hargrove Mansion library, Ava broke all 3 rules at once, and saved 2 lives in the process. The library was Ava's favorite place to clean. 2 floors of oak shelves, a sliding wooden ladder, the smell of old books, and that peace only libraries have. She was dusting the upper shelves, balancing dangerously on the ladder while trying to reach a first edition of The Great Gatsby, when she heard the door open. Ava froze. It was 11 at night. No one was supposed to be awake. And then she heard Veronica's voice. "I told you not to call me at this number," Veronica hissed, annoyed. Ava shrank behind the shelf. Her heart raced. If Veronica found her there... "Julian, listen to me," Veronica went on, her voice low and venomous. "Everything is going according to plan. Nicholas is already hesitating about the boarding school. Margaret and the board are on our side. Ava held her breath. Julian? Who was Julian? 2 weeks, darling, 2 weeks, and the girl will be in Switzerland, far away from causing trouble. Veronica let out a soft laugh, a sound that made Ava's spine turn cold. And without that annoying maid around to put ideas in her head. Ava gripped the duster so hard she nearly snapped it in two. She was talking about her. As soon as Lily is out, Veronica continued, now walking through the library, you'll go to Richard Blackwell's office and convince him to revise the will. Use those documents we got. Nicholas's medical concerns, the stress history. Ava felt her blood run cold. The will? Medical concerns? And then Veronica said the sentence that changed everything. When he finally goes, everything will be ours, darling. The company, the mansion, the 53 million in shares, everything. Ava covered her mouth with her hand to keep from screaming. Goes. It wasn't a casual expression. It was a plan. No, it couldn't be, but it was. With trembling hands, Ava pulled her phone from the pocket of her apron. She had to record this. She needed proof, because if she told anyone without evidence, who would believe her? A maid accusing a billionaire's wife of conspiracy? She would be fired on the spot. Or worse. Ava opened the recording app, thank God for YouTube tutorials, and pressed the red button just as Veronica spoke again. Don't you start feeling guilty now, Julian. You knew what you were getting into when we planned this. Veronica snorted. Nicholas Hargrove is a man with high blood pressure and a family history of heart problems. If he has a cardiovascular accident, no one will suspect a thing. Ava had to lean against the shelf to keep from fainting. Cardiovascular accident. They were planning to kill Nicholas. Is the document ready? Veronica asked. Perfect. As soon as the will is changed and I'm officially the main beneficiary, you handle the rest. Discreet, clean, as we discussed. Ava could hardly breathe. Her phone shook in her hand. I love you too, darling, Veronica said, her voice suddenly syrupy. See you at the hotel on Tuesday, same suite. She laughed. And don't worry, in 2 months we'll be drinking champagne in Monaco while that spoiled girl learns French at some boring boarding school. The call ended. Veronica sighed with satisfaction, adjusted her silk robe, and left the library as if nothing had happened. Ava waited a full 5 minutes, 5 minutes that felt like 5 years before climbing down the ladder. Her legs could barely hold her. She had recorded everything. Everything. The conspiracy, the plan to kill Nicholas, the manipulation of the will, the secret lover, the 53 million, Monaco, the hotel, everything. Ava looked at the phone in her hand as if it were a grenade about to explode. And now she had the power to destroy Veronica, or to be destroyed trying. 30 minutes later, Ava was in the garden, her hands still trembling, when Lily appeared in her pajamas. Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost, Lily sighed, worried. Ava took a deep breath and told her everything. Every word, every terrible detail. When she finished, Lily was pale. She wants to kill my father? Yes. And take everything? Yes. Lily stayed silent for a long moment. Then suddenly, she sighed. Did you record everything on your phone? I did. And what if you had sneezed in the middle of the recording and ruined it? Ava blinked, confused. What? Like, achoo! And then the recording goes, when he's about, achoo! He'll be ours. Lily mimicked a dramatic sneeze in sign language, making a ridiculous face. Ava stared at her for 3 seconds. And then the two of them burst into nervous, hysterical laughter. The kind you have when things are so absurd that laughing is the only way not to cry. Lily, your stepmother is planning to kill your father, and you're worried about sneezes? Sorry, it's my defense mechanism. I either make jokes or I panic. They laughed until it hurt, until tears ran down their faces, until the tension finally eased a little. But when the laughter faded, reality returned. And it was heavy. What do we do now? Lily sighed, fear creeping back into her eyes. Ava looked at the phone, at the recording, at the proof that could change everything. And then she looked at Lily, the 15-year-old who had lost her mother, who was about to lose her father, who trusted her more than anyone in the world. And Ava felt something shift inside her. It wasn't fear anymore. It was courage. We're going to stop her, Ava signed firmly. How? Ava smiled. A dangerous smile. I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out, because if Veronica thinks she can destroy this family, she doesn't know who she's messing with, Lily finished. And for the first time in days, the two of them felt something other than fear. They felt hope, because now they had a weapon. And Veronica Voss had no idea what was coming. Ava Granger didn't sleep that night. She lay in the bed of the servants' quarters. the size of a walk-in closet, but at least with a window facing the garden, staring at the phone on the nightstand as if it were a ticking bomb. Because technically it was. The recording was there. 5 minutes and 43 seconds of pure legal dynamite. Concrete proof of conspiracy, fraud, and attempted murder. But what if no one believed her? What if Veronica had better lawyers? What if they thought Ava had made it all up for attention? After all, she was just a housekeeper. A 32-year-old woman with a high school diploma and a professional cleaning certificate from Los Angeles Community College. Against Veronica Voss. Business administration degree from Columbia University. Connections everywhere that mattered. Who would they believe? Ava rolled onto her side, clutching the pillow. Revealing this could cost her job, her safety, maybe even her life if Veronica and Julian were as dangerous as they seemed. But not revealing it would cost Nicholas's life. And Lily's future. Ava closed her eyes. There really wasn't a choice. There never had been. The next morning, Saturday, Lily dragged Ava into the garden before breakfast. "We need to talk," she signed seriously. "About the plan?" "No, about something else." Ava frowned, but followed Lily to the bench near the fountain, their sacred spot. Lily sat down, fidgeting with her hands, clearly nervous. "I had a dream last night." "Nightmare about Veronica?" "No." Lily gave a crooked smile. "I dreamed you were my stepmother." Ava blinked, surprised. What? "In the dream, you were married to my dad. We lived here. You taught me how to make pancakes, and we laughed a lot. And when I woke up, I realized—" Lily paused, eyes shining. "I realized I wanted it to be true." Ava felt her heart tighten. "Lily, I know it's crazy. I know you're the housekeeper and my dad is, well, my dad. But you're the only person who really understands me, Ava. The only one who learned sign language just to talk to me. The only one who stays up late laughing at my bad jokes." Lily wiped away a tear. "You're more of a mother to me than Veronica will ever be." Ava couldn't hold back. She pulled Lily into a tight hug, feeling her own tears run down her face. "You're special to me too. More than you know." When they pulled apart, Lily was smiling again. "Guess what I came up with last night?" "What?" "New signs." Lily perked up, and Ava already knew something funny was coming. "Look, this one is for evil stepmother." Lily made a sign that looked like a witch stirring a cauldron, with a disgusted face. Ava burst out laughing. "And this one," Lily continued, "is for hero housekeeper." She made a flying superhero sign with an imaginary cape and all. "Lily, you can't use that in public." "Why not? It's art." "It's a lawsuit waiting to happen." They laughed so hard they nearly fell off the bench. But what neither of them noticed was that on the second-floor balcony, Nicholas Hargrove was standing there, watching everything. He had gone out for coffee when he heard the laughter. Not the sound itself, of course, but that kind of joy you can feel in the air. And there they were, Lily and Ava, signing, laughing, being a family. And Nicholas felt something he hadn't felt in 5 years. Something he had buried along with Caroline. Hope. But also guilt. Because he was in love with Ava, completely. Irrevocably. In love. And that was wrong on so many levels, he didn't even know where to start. He had just gotten married. To the wrong woman, yes, but still married. Ava worked for him. There was a huge difference in social class, in everything. And yet every time he looked at Ava, he saw the woman who had saved his daughter from loneliness. The woman who had learned sign language on her own. The woman who made pancakes at 6 in the morning because Lily loved them. The woman who laughed at a 15-year-old's bad jokes as if they were the funniest things in the world. Ava had brought life back into that house. And Nicholas had been too blind to see it. He watched the two of them signing, their hands flying in perfect rhythm, and his heart raced when Lily hugged Ava again. She deserves this, Nicholas thought. Lily deserves a real mother, not a Veronica. And then, as if the universe wanted to torture him, he saw Ava glance toward the balcony. Their eyes met. For 3 endless, impossible seconds, they just looked at each other. And Nicholas saw in her eyes the same fear, the same doubt, the same impossible feeling he felt himself. Ava looked away first, turning back to Lily. But Nicholas stayed there, frozen, his heart pounding unevenly. He had built an empire. He ran a tech company worth billions. He signed deals with presidents and CEOs, but he didn't have the courage to admit he was in love with the housekeeper. And that made him feel like the biggest coward in the world. Later that day, Ava was cleaning the dining room when she saw Nicholas walk in. He stopped at the door, hands in his pockets, looking lost. "Ava," he began quietly, "can we talk?" Her heart skipped a beat. He knows. Somehow he knows about the recording. Of course, Mr. Hargrove. Nicholas hesitated, running a hand through his hair. I just wanted to thank you for what you do for Lily. She smiles again because of you. Ava felt her cheeks warm. She's special. She's easy to care for. It's more than that. Nicholas took a step closer. You brought something to this house I couldn't give. You brought joy. Ava didn't know what to say. I know I'm just the housekeeper, Mr. Hargrove, but Lily, she means a lot to me. You're not just the housekeeper. Nicholas looked at her in a way that made her stomach twist. You're much more than that. The silence between them was heavy, full of things left unsaid. And then Nicholas stepped back, as if realizing he had gone too far. Thank you, Ava, for everything. He left, and Ava stood alone in the dining room, her heart racing and her thoughts in chaos. Because she had just realized something terrible. She was in love with Nicholas Hargrove too, and that was about to make everything far more complicated. If there was one thing Veronica Voss did better than conspiring, it was throwing expensive parties. And the Saturday night gala at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel was no exception. 200 guests, a 20-piece orchestra, Cristal champagne served in Baccarat crystal flutes, flowers imported from Holland, and a dress code that basically said if your outfit costs less than a car, don't bother showing up. Everything perfect. Everything calculated. Because that night wasn't about celebrating a marriage. It was about signing the new will. And Veronica was closer than ever to getting what she wanted. Behind the ballroom, near the service kitchen, Ava Granger adjusted the white apron of her waitress uniform, while Lily, wearing a simple black dress that Veronica had kindly chosen for her, something modest, dear, checked her phone for the 10th time. Is the recording still there? Lily signed nervously. It is. I saved it in 3 different places. Cloud, memory card, and emailed it to myself. You emailed it? What if someone hacks it? Lily, my password has 16 characters and symbols. NASA has less security than that. Lily laughed, but her face was still tense. The two of them had a plan. A crazy, risky, potentially disastrous plan. But it was the only one they had. Operation Final Cleanup Mission. The name had been Lily's idea. Ava had suggested something more serious, like Operation Justice or Operation Truth, but Lily insisted it needed to sound like a 90s action movie. And really, who was Ava to argue with that? So, reviewing the plan, Ava signed. You keep an eye on Richard Blackwell as soon as he takes the will documents out of the folder. I accidentally spill champagne on him. And while he's cleaning himself up, you plug your phone into the sound system and play the recording. Ava nodded. Simple, straightforward. What could go wrong? Lily stared at her. Do you really want me to answer that? No. They both took a deep breath. What if it doesn't work? Lily asked, her eyes wide with fear. It will, Ava said, squeezing her hand. Because the alternative is letting that witch kill your father. And that's not going to happen. Lily smiled, but it was a shaky smile. Ava? Yes, if we get arrested for this, at least we'll have a good story to tell in jail. Ava tried not to laugh. Lily, nobody's going to jail. We're the good guys. The good guys go to jail sometimes. Haven't you ever watched Orange is the New Black? Focus, Lily. Focus. Right? Focus. Operation Final Cleanup. Save Dad. Take down Veronica. Don't get arrested. Got it? Then Lily made a sign that almost made Ava choke with laughter. Wait. What if we spill champagne on Julian too? Like a toast to prison? Ava covered her mouth, trying not to burst out laughing. Lily, we can't just throw champagne on people. Why not? It's a waste of good champagne, but it'd be worth it. Because, Ava tried to think of a reason, but honestly, the idea was tempting. Okay, if everything goes right and we have time left, you can throw champagne on him. Yes, Lily cheered in sign language. They both laughed, nervous, knowing that in a few hours everything would change. For better, or for much, much worse. In the main hall, Nicholas Hargrove was leaning against the bar, watching Veronica glide among the guests like a queen holding court. She looked radiant. Red Valentino dress. Diamond necklace he didn't remember buying. Perfect smile. Too perfect. Over the past few days, Nicholas had started noticing things. Small things that, alone, meant nothing, but together painted a disturbing picture. Like how Veronica always left the house on Tuesday afternoons saying she was going to the spa, yet came back without smelling of essential oils. How she had whispered phone conversations that ended abruptly whenever he entered the room. How the family lawyer, Richard Blackwell, had called 3 times in the last week to discuss estate planning. How Veronica insisted on sending Lily to Switzerland as soon as possible. And how every time Nicholas mentioned Ava, Veronica tensed up, visibly uncomfortable. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Nicholas took a sip of scotch and watched Richard Blackwell walk into the hall, brown leather folder in hand. The folder that likely held the will documents. Nicholas felt his stomach twist. Nicholas, Veronica appeared beside him, all smiles. Darling, come. I want to introduce you to Senator Morrison. In a minute, Nicholas replied, eyes still on Richard. Sweetheart, it's important. He could help with that tax legislation you mentioned. Veronica? Nicholas turned to her. Why are you so interested in changing my will? Her smile faltered, for just a fraction of a second. What? I'm not. It's just financial planning, dear. Every couple does it. Every couple who's been married 3 weeks. Nicholas, you're being paranoid. Am I? He stepped closer, his voice low. Because these past few days, I've started noticing things. Strange things. Too many coincidences. Veronica blinked, discomfort clear on her face. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you sure? Her eyes hardened. I think you're under too much stress, darling. Maybe you should get some rest. And she walked away, the perfect smile back on her face, but her shoulders tense. Nicholas watched her go, and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Instinct. The same instinct that had helped him build an empire from scratch. The one that warned him when investors were lying. The one that had saved him from fraud and betrayal. And now that instinct was screaming, you're in danger. On the other side of the hall, Ava was watching everything. She saw the exchange between Nicholas and Veronica. She saw the look on his face. He was starting to suspect something. Good, she thought. Because in 10 minutes, he'll know the truth. Lily appeared beside her, holding a tray of champagne with the grace of someone who had clearly never held a tray before. Is it time? She signed. Ava looked at Richard Blackwell opening the folder, at Veronica smiling at the guests, at Nicholas standing alone at the bar, lost in thought. And then at Lily, the 15-year-old girl who had lost her mother, was about to lose her father, but was still there. Brave, ready to fight. It's time, Ava signed back. An Operation Final Cleaning mission began. 3 things happened at once. Richard Blackwell opened his leather briefcase and took out the will documents. Veronica smiled at the crowd like a reality show host about to announce the winner. And Lily Hargrove spilled an entire glass of Cristal champagne, $300 a glass, thank you very much, all over Richard's Armani suit. Oh my gosh, Lily cried in a voice she rarely used, making everyone look. I'm so sorry, so sorry. I'm such a klutz. Richard froze, staring at the soaked $300 suit like he'd just been shot. My goodness, he stammered. Let me help, Lily said, grabbing napkins and dabbing the suit in a way that was clearly making it worse. I'm sure it'll come out. Champagne is basically water with alcohol, right? I need to clean up, Richard muttered, looking around in panic. Where's the restroom? There, Lily pointed. Hurry, before it starts smelling fancy. Richard hurried off, leaving the briefcase open on the table. And no one, absolutely no one, noticed Ava Granger quietly slipping toward the sound booth in the corner of the ballroom. The sound technician was busy adjusting the orchestra's microphones when Ava approached, phone in hand, polite smile on her face. Excuse me, she said softly. Mrs. Voss asked me to play a special message. Now? The technician frowned. She was very clear, said it's a surprise for her husband. The technician shrugged. He wasn't paid enough to question rich ladies' requests. All right, hand it over. Ava passed him the phone, her heart pounding so hard she swore everyone in the room could hear it. The technician connected it to the system. All set, just press play. Ava took a deep breath and pressed the button. For 2 seconds, nothing happened. The orchestra kept playing Vivaldi. The guests kept chatting. Veronica kept smiling. Then the speakers crackled. The music stopped. And Veronica Voss's voice, clear, cold, unmistakable, echoed through the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. Julian, listen to me. Everything is going according to plan. Veronica froze. The entire ballroom went silent. Everyone looked toward the speakers, then at the giant screen showing the audio waveform, and the recording went on. In 2 weeks, the girl will be in Switzerland, far away from causing trouble, and without that annoying maid around. 200 heads turned toward Veronica. She was pale. Completely pale. This isn't, she started, but the voice in the recording cut her off. Once Lily is gone, you'll go to Richard Blackwell's office and convince him to revise the will. Richard Blackwell, who was just returning from the restroom with his suit still damp, froze mid-step like he'd been hit by lightning. What? The recording showed no mercy. Use those documents we got. The medical concerns about Nicholas, his stress history. Nicholas Hargrove, standing near the bar, felt his blood run cold. Medical concerns? What medical concerns? And then came the line that changed everything. When he's finally gone, everything will be ours, darling. The company, the mansion, the 53 million in shares, everything. The room erupted. Oh my God, she planned to kill him? Someone call the police. Margaret Sutherland nearly fainted. Senator Morrison spat out his champagne. Thomas Whitmore stood speechless, and the recording kept playing, relentless. Nicholas Hargrove is a man with high blood pressure. If he has a cardiovascular incident, no one will suspect a thing. Veronica took 2 shaky steps back, her hands trembling. This is a lie. It's digital manipulation, deepfake. Someone edited my voice. But no one was listening. Because on the big screen, a photo appeared. Veronica and a dark-haired man, arms around each other in a hotel. Date, 2 weeks ago. Who's that? Someone shouted. That's Julian Lestrom, another replied. The financial consultant. And as if the universe itself was directing a movie, Julian Lestrom, who'd been hiding behind a column on the other side of the room, was recognized. There, that's him. Julian did the only logical thing. He ran. He bolted for the exit like he was in the Olympics. But he hadn't counted on 3 things. First, the marble floor was slippery from the champagne Lily had spilled. Second, a waiter carrying a tray of hors d'oeuvres was right in his path. And third, physics is an exact science. Julian slipped, collided with the waiter, and both went down in a spectacular display of physical comedy, hors d'oeuvres flying everywhere. Lily, on the other side of the ballroom, looked at Ava and signed with the biggest smile in the world, "Popcorn time." Ava covered her mouth so she wouldn't laugh too loudly. But for Veronica, the situation was anything but funny. She looked around, desperate, searching for an exit, an excuse, anything. And then her eyes met Nicholas's. He was standing still, motionless, staring at her with an expression Veronica had never seen before. It wasn't anger. It was worse. It was disappointment. "Nicholas," she began, her voice breaking. "Darling, I can explain." "Explain?" Nicholas took a step forward, his voice low and dangerous. "You plan to kill me. You plan to send my daughter away. You plan to steal everything I built." "No, that's not what it looks like." "Then what is it?" His voice exploded, making the entire ballroom fall silent again. Veronica opened her mouth, closed it. She had no answer. Because there was no answer. 2 hotel security guards appeared, followed by 4 LAPD officers who happened to be having dinner in the restaurant downstairs. "Veronica Voss?" one of the officers said. "You'll need to come with us to answer some questions." "This is ridiculous," Veronica shouted. "I'm a Voss. My family has connections. You can't—" "Ma'am, we have a recording of you confessing to conspiracy to commit murder and fraud. You have the right to remain silent." While the officers read Veronica her rights, Nicholas looked for Lily. He found her across the ballroom, standing beside Ava. The 2 of them were hugging, crying, laughing, all at once. And when Lily saw her father watching, she signed 3 words: "The war's begun." But Nicholas knew the truth. The war hadn't begun. It was over, and they had won, thanks to a brave housekeeper and a 15-year-old girl who refused to give up. Nicholas walked toward them, and for the first time in 5 years he hugged his daughter with everything he had. And when Lily hugged him back, he realized just how close he had come to losing everything, including her. But he hadn't. And he never would again. If you think scandals in Beverly Hills are dramatic, wait until a billionaire nearly gets murdered by his own wife. Then you'll see real drama. On Sunday morning, exactly 12 hours after the most disastrous ball in Los Angeles history, the Hargrove mansion looked like a movie scene. 3 news vans camped at the gate, 6 lawyers in the living room, 4 LAPD detectives in the office, 2 FBI agents, because conspiracy to commit fraud involving more than $10 million was a federal matter, and a 15-year-old girl eating pancakes in the kitchen like nothing had happened. "Lily," Nicholas said, walking into the kitchen looking 10 years older overnight, "there are reporters at the gate." Lily took a sip of orange juice and signed, "Nice. Want me to give an interview? I can use my sign for evil stepmother." "Lily, this is serious." "I know, Dad, but if I don't laugh, I'll lose it." Nicholas sighed and sat down beside her. And for the first time in 5 years, he really looked at his daughter. At the girl who had lost her mother. who had spent 5 years almost completely alone, who had just saved his life. "Lily," he began, his voice breaking. "I'm so sorry." Lily stopped eating and looked at him, surprised. "For everything," Nicholas continued. "For pushing you away. For marrying that woman. For almost losing you." Lily slowly set her fork on the table. "Dad, I should have seen it. I should have noticed what she was doing. I should have listened to you." Tears began running down his face. "But I was so lost after your mother. I just couldn't." Lily stood and hugged her father so tightly that Nicholas felt his ribs ache. Then she pulled back and signed something he would never forget. "You never left me, Dad. You just got lost for a while." Nicholas sobbed and pulled her back into another hug. "I love you so much, so much. I love you too." They stayed like that for a long time, crying, healing, finally reconnecting, until Lily pulled away and signed with a teasing smile. "But seriously, Dad, Veronica? Not even soap operas have villains that naive." Nicholas laughed through his tears. "It really was her on that phone recording. And she planned the ball to sign the will in front of 200 witnesses. And Julian slipped on champagne trying to run away. On $300 champagne that I spilled." They both laughed until it hurt, the kind of nervous laughter that only comes after something too insane to process. That's when Ava walked into the kitchen, stopped at the doorway, and looked embarrassed. "Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt." "Ava?" Nicholas stood up. "Please, come in." Lily had already pulled out a chair for her. "Sit down. Your family." Ava sat down, visibly uncomfortable with Nicholas there. "I just came to tell you the lawyers want to talk to you, Mr. Hargrove, and the detectives too." "Let them wait," Nicholas said. "First, I need to thank you." "Mr. Hargrove." "Nicholas. Call me Nicholas." He leaned forward. "You saved my life. You saved my daughter. You saved everything. There's no Mr. Hargrove between us." Ava blushed. "I just did what was right." "You did more than that." Nicholas took her hand, and Lily watched with a mischievous grin. "You were brave. You risked everything, and I'll never be able to thank you enough." "She's also funny and makes amazing pancakes," Lily added just to help. Ava laughed nervously. "Lily, what? I'm just listing your talents." The moment was interrupted by Richard Blackwell entering the kitchen, still with champagne stains on his suit. "Nicholas, we need to talk. It's urgent." In the days that followed, chaos took over. TMZ published, "Billionaire nearly killed by wife in $1 million scheme." CNN opened with, "Beverly Hills scandal, recording exposes murder plot." The New York Times was more formal. "Nicholas Hargrove escapes deadly conspiracy. Wife and lover arrested." Veronica Voss and Julian Lestrom were formally charged with conspiracy to commit murder, financial fraud, document forgery, attempted will manipulation. Bail? $5 million each, which Veronica didn't have because all her accounts were frozen. And Julian? He had $23 in his wallet and a 2015 Corolla. The defense lawyers tried to argue the recording was inadmissible, until the FBI brought in phone records showing 15 calls between Veronica and Julian over the last 3 weeks, and text messages, and emails, and hotel reservations. Basically a full dossier of criminal incompetence. Margaret Sutherland, when interviewed by NBC, simply said, "I always thought she was odd." Thomas Whitmore from the board resigned in shame for ever supporting the boarding school idea. And Richard Blackwell? He spent 3 days giving statements, explaining how he'd been manipulated. But the real twist, or the best part, depending on who you asked, came when the media found out who made the recording. People magazine, hero housekeeper, saves billionaire. Vanity Fair, Ava Granger, the woman who exposed the scam. Suddenly, Ava was everywhere. Journalists wanted interviews. Hollywood producers wanted to buy the story rights. A cleaning product company even offered her an endorsement deal. Lily thought it was hilarious. You're like Cinderella, but with a less cheesy ending. Ava just wanted it all to be over. But for Nicholas, the real challenge wasn't dealing with the media or the lawyers. It was dealing with guilt. One night, after everyone had gone to bed, he stayed alone in his office, staring at a photo of Caroline on the shelf. "I messed up," he whispered to the photo. "I almost lost our daughter. I almost threw everything away. And for what? Because I was afraid to move on, afraid to feel again." The photo, of course, didn't answer. But something inside Nicholas broke. The guilt he had carried since Caroline's death. The guilt of being alive when she wasn't. The guilt of trying to be happy again. All of it finally crumbled. And in its place came something else. Acceptance. Caroline was gone, and he had survived, and Lily had survived. And now, finally, they could start over. For real. Nicholas looked out the window, watching Lily and Ava talking in the garden, laughing about something only they understood. And he realized life had given him a second chance. Not with Veronica, but with the family he already had. And with the possibility of a future he'd never imagined possible. A future with love, with truth. And with the woman he should have chosen from the start. 3 weeks after the most disastrous party in Beverly Hills history, life at the Hargrove Mansion was strangely normal. Well, as normal as it can be when you have reporters camped outside your gate, 15 daily calls from Hollywood producers, and your housekeeper becoming an internet meme. Yes, Ava Granger had become a meme, specifically Boss Housekeeper, with a photo of her holding a feather duster like a sword, captioned, "When you clean the house and the conspiracy at the same time." Lily thought it was brilliant. Ava wanted to crawl under the bed. But on a Tuesday afternoon, when the chaos had finally calmed down, Nicholas called Ava for a meeting in his office. Formal, scheduled, with an exact time. Ava walked in sweating, convinced she was about to be fired. After all, she had 1. Recorded her boss's wife plotting a murder. 2. Exposed a public scandal. 3. Become an accidental celebrity. 4. And, well, there was that strange tension between her and Nicholas that no one talked about, but everyone felt. "Please sit down," Nicholas said, pointing to the leather chair across the desk. Ava sat, her hands sweating. "Here we go. He's going to fire me politely and hand me a recommendation letter." "Ava," Nicholas began, straightening some papers on the desk, "I have a proposal for you." "Oh no, it's going to be something like, 'You've been great, but I need space, let's stay friends.' These past few weeks I've been thinking a lot about Caroline, about Lily, about everything." He took a deep breath. "And I decided to create something." Ava blinked. "Create? A foundation? In Caroline's name?" Nicholas smiled, his eyes lighting up. "The Caroline Hargrove Foundation for Deaf Children will offer scholarships, hearing devices, sign language classes, family support, all for free." Ava felt her heart tighten. "Nicholas, that's beautiful. And I want you to run it." Silence. Complete. Total. Ava blinked 3 times, sure she had misheard. "I what?" "I want you to be the executive director of the foundation." Nicholas pushed a folder across the desk. "Salary $150,000 a year, full benefits, office in downtown LA, your own team." Ava stared at the folder as if it had grown 7 heads. "Nicholas, I'm a housekeeper." "You're much more than that. I didn't even finish college. You saved my life and my daughter's." Nicholas leaned forward. "You're brave, smart, dedicated. You taught yourself sign language. You care about children. You're exactly who I need for this." Ava shook her head, tears beginning to form. "I don't know anything about running a foundation. I'll hire consultants to help you, lawyers, accountants, whatever you need." "Nicholas, Ava, please." His voice softened. "Let me do this, not just for Caroline, but for you. You deserve it." Ava opened her mouth to reply when the office door burst open. Lily ran in, not even knocking, holding her phone and grinning from ear to ear. "Ava's going to be CEO?" Nicholas sighed. "Lily, were you listening at the door?" "Obviously, and I totally approve." Lily threw herself into the chair beside Ava. "Ava, you have to say yes." "Lily, I'm just a housekeeper." "Housekeeper?" Lily made such a dramatic sign she almost hit the lamp. "Norrap, you cleaned up the emotional mess of our entire lives. If that doesn't qualify you to be a CEO, I don't know what does." Ava laughed through her tears. "Lily, imagine it. Ava Granger, CEO of Cleaning and the Foundation. Your business card is going to be epic." Lily gestured wildly. "Front, executive director. Back, also removes tough stains." Nicholas tried not to laugh. "Lily, that's not helping." "Yes, it is. I'm showing versatility." Ava was laughing and crying at the same time. "You two are impossible. What's impossible is you saying no." Lily grabbed her hands. "Ava, you saved us. Now let us save you too. You deserve this. You deserve more than cleaning houses for ungrateful Bilia." "Wait, my dad's not ungrateful." "Thank you for the clarification," Nicholas said dryly. "You're welcome. But seriously, Ava, say yes, please." Ava looked at Lily, at Nicholas, at the folder on the desk, and she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Possibility. "What if I fail?" she whispered. "Won't," Nicholas said firmly. "What if people judge me, say I don't deserve it? That it's only because—" she hesitated. "Because you feel you owe me something? Let them talk." Nicholas stood, walking around the desk. "Ava, you've spent years being invisible, cleaning, caring, loving, without getting any credit. Now it's your time to shine." He stopped in front of her, and Ava had to look up. And I need to tell you something. Something I should have said a long time ago. Nicholas took a deep breath, visibly nervous for the first time. I have feelings for you. I have for years. Since the day you learned sign language just to talk to Lily. Since the morning I saw you making pancakes at 6 because my daughter woke up hungry. Since, Nicholas. Ava whispered. I know it's complicated. I know I just got out of a disastrous marriage. I know we're different in so many ways. But, he took her hands. I can't keep pretending. You've become essential. To Lily. To me. To this family. Lily, watching with a huge smile, signed quietly. Finally. Ava was crying now, really crying. I feel the same, she confessed, her voice trembling, but I'm scared. Scared I'm not good enough. For the foundation. For you. For... You're more than good enough, Nicholas said, steady and sure. You're perfect. Kiss her already, Lily signed excitedly. Lily! Nicholas turned to his daughter. What? Someone had to say it. The three of them laughed, even through the tears, and Ava looked at the folder on the table, at the invitation that would change her life, at the family that had become hers, and finally said, I accept. Lily celebrated like she'd just won the lottery. Nicholas smiled, relieved. And Ava? For the first time in 32 years, Ava felt she was exactly where she was meant to be. Nicholas Hargrove had closed billion-dollar deals. He had pitched to Wall Street investors. He had spoken to 5,000 people at the San Francisco Tech Conference. But never had he been as nervous as he was that Thursday night, standing in the garden, waiting for Ava to appear. Because this time, it wasn't about money. It was about the heart. And Nicholas was about to risk everything. He had spent 3 days planning it. 3 days practicing sign language in front of the bathroom mirror like a teenager before his first date. 3 days memorizing every move, every word, every sign. Because if he was going to do this, he was going to do it right. At 9 o'clock, Ava walked into the garden holding 2 mugs of hot chocolate, her and Lily's tradition. She stopped when she saw Nicholas standing there alone. Hi, she said, surprised. Where's Lily? She had something come up. Nicholas lied terribly. The something was Lily hiding behind the upstairs window with binoculars and a bag of popcorn, but that was irrelevant. Oh, Ava hesitated. Do you want hot chocolate? I do, but first. Nicholas took a deep breath. There's something I need to tell you. Then he started signing. Ava's eyes widened because Nicholas Hargrove, billionaire CEO, was speaking in sign language. Not perfectly. Some signs were off, some were slow, but he was trying. I practiced this for 3 days, he signed, nervous. So if I mess up, I'm sorry. Ava felt tears start to form. Nicholas, let me finish, please. He kept going, his hands trembling slightly. I spent 5 years lost. 5 years hiding in work. 5 years thinking I'd never feel anything again. Ava set the mugs on the bench, her eyes locked on his. And then you came along. Not as someone new. You've been here for 4 years. But I was too blind to see it. Nicholas took a step closer. You brought life back into this house. You made Lily smile again. You made me feel again. Ava was crying now. And I know it's complicated. I know people will talk, judge, say it's too fast, too strange, too wrong. Nicholas took her hands. But I don't care, because for the first time in 5 years, I'm not afraid to feel. I'm afraid not to feel. He paused, searching for the right sign. Ava Granger, I'm in love with you. Silence. The garden was completely still, until Ava signed back, I am too. And the whole world stopped. But, Ava said out loud, her voice breaking, I'm scared. Of what? Of everything. She stepped back, running her hands through her hair. Nicholas, you're a billionaire. I'm a housekeeper who just accidentally became a CEO. People will say I'm using you, that I planned it all, that you saved my life and my daughter's? Nicholas interrupted. Because that's what really happened. They won't see it that way. Ava? Nicholas gently held her face in his hands. I spent 5 years caring about what people think. 5 years trying to please everyone, and it nearly killed me. So you know what I've learned? What? That the only opinions that matter are mine, Lily's, and yours. He smiled, and Lily's already made it very clear she approves. Ava laughed through her tears. She's not exactly subtle. Not subtle? Nicholas chuckled. She literally made a PowerPoint on why we should be together. She what? PowerPoint, 15 slides, with charts. Nicholas was laughing now. The title was Operation Dad Needs a Decent Girlfriend. Ava covered her face, laughing and crying at the same time. She's impossible. She's perfect. Nicholas pulled her hands gently away from her face. And so are you. Ava looked at him, her eyes shining. Nicholas, I'm so afraid of ruining this. Then we'll ruin it together, he said with a soft smile. But at least we'll try. And then Nicholas asked the question he had practiced for 3 days. Can I kiss you? In sign language. Perfectly. Ava let out a shaky laugh. You're ridiculous. Is that a yes? It's a yes. And Nicholas pulled her into a kiss, soft, gentle, full of 5 years of loneliness, fear, and guilt, finally melting away. And for the first time since Caroline died, Nicholas felt like he was home. That's when they heard a muffled scream coming from the upstairs window. They pulled apart, looking up. Lily was leaning out the window, waving so excitedly she almost fell. Finally. I thought you two would never kiss. I'm 15, and I was getting frustrated with this soap opera. Nicholas covered his face, laughing. Lily Hargrove, go to bed. No way, this is better than TV. Ava was laughing so hard she could barely breathe. She's definitely your daughter. Ours, Nicholas corrected, smiling. She's our daughter. And Ava felt her heart melt. Ours, family. For the first time in 32 years, she had a real family. Ava, Lily signed from the window. You officially have my permission to kiss my dad anytime you want. I approve. Thank you, Lily. Ava signed back, laughing. But don't do gross stuff in front of me. Lily, just saying. Good night, carry on, ignore me. And she disappeared from the window. Probably to call all her friends and brag that she had finally managed to get her dad and the housekeeper together. Nicholas and Ava were alone again, laughing, holding each other, finally free. Do you think we waited too long? Ava asked softly. No. Nicholas kissed her forehead. I think we waited just long enough. Because now we're ready. Ava rested her head on his chest. I'm still scared. Me too, Nicholas admitted. But I'd rather be scared with you than brave alone. And they stayed there, in the garden, under the Beverly Hills stars, holding on to each other like they were the last solid thing in the world. Because in a way, they were. And the walls that had kept them apart, class, fear, guilt, judgment, had finally fallen, leaving only what had always been there, love. 6 months after the garden kiss that Lily would never let them forget, the Caroline Hargrove Foundation for Deaf Children was officially inaugurated, and it was wildly successful. As in, front page of the LA Times successful. As in, Ellen DeGeneres sent flowers successful. As in, Bill Gates posted about it online successful. The building was in downtown LA, 3 stories of glass and steel, with classrooms full of cutting-edge technology, a speech therapy clinic, a library with books in Braille and sign language, and a team of 23 dedicated professionals. And leading it all? Ava Granger, who still couldn't believe it was real. Seriously, she said for the 10th time that morning, staring at her badge that read, Ava Granger, Executive Director. This feels like a prank. Lily, standing beside her wearing a badge that said Youth Ambassador, which she had demanded be bigger than everyone else's, signed, Stop complaining. You're a CEO now. Act like one. I was a housekeeper 6 months ago. So what? Steve Jobs sold computers in a garage. Jeff Bezos sold books online. Everyone starts somewhere. Ava looked at her, impressed. Where did you read that on social media? Obviously, but it still counts. Nicholas showed up carrying 3 Starbucks cups like trophies. Ready for your opening speech? He asked, handing Ava her coffee. She almost dropped it. Speech? Nicholas, I didn't prepare anything. Of course you did. You spent 3 days writing and rewriting it on your computer. That was just a draft. It wasn't meant for public use. It's perfect. Use it. Dad's right, Lily signed. Your speech was beautiful. I cried twice reading it. Ava froze. You read my draft? Yeah, I hacked your Google Docs. Lily. What? I wanted to see if you mentioned us, and you did. 3 times. It was sweet. Nicholas sighed, trying not to laugh. Reminder, invasion of privacy is a crime, Lily. Only if they find out. And you only found out because I told you. So technically, I confessed. That counts as redemption, right? No. Darn. Ava shook her head but was laughing. Because these chaotic, loving, ridiculous conversations, this was family. Her family. The opening ceremony was beautiful. 200 people attended, deaf children and their parents, donors, the press. Even the mayor of Los Angeles showed up. And when Ava stepped on stage to speak, with Lily beside her translating in sign language, her heart almost leapt out of her chest. But then she looked at the audience. She saw Nicholas in the front row, smiling proudly. She saw deaf children, looking at her like she was a hero. She saw families crying with gratitude. And the words just came. 6 months ago, I was a housekeeper, Ava began, her voice steady. I cleaned homes, dusted shelves, washed dishes, and I was happy. Because honest work is dignified work. The crowd applauded. But then something changed. I met a girl who taught me that language doesn't need sound, that family doesn't need blood, and that courage doesn't need applause. Ava looked at Lily. She taught me that sometimes the greatest revolution we can make is simply not giving up. Lily was crying, interpreting and crying at the same time. This foundation isn't about me. It's about every child who, like Lily, has been underestimated, ignored, treated as if they were less. Ava wiped her tears. But they're not. They're more. So much more. And we're going to prove it. The audience rose in applause, and Lily signed to Ava. You nailed it. Ava smiled. I learned from the best. But not everything was perfect, because 2 weeks after the grand opening, the press started speculating. Ava Granger and Nicholas Hargrove, romance or strategy? Us Weekly, housekeeper turned CEO and girlfriend, People magazine. Billionaire dumped socialite for the maid, TMZ, because TMZ will always be TMZ. Ava saw the TMZ headline and nearly threw her phone out the window. They called me a maid. As if that were an insult. Nicholas, who was sitting across the living room, sighed. Ava, ignore it. It's not worth it. Not worth it? They're implying I planned everything, that I seduced you for money. And you know that's not true. I know it. Lily knows it. Nicholas stood and hugged her from behind. The rest doesn't matter. It does matter. Ava turned in his arms. Nicholas, this affects the foundation. It affects Lily. It affects you. None of this changes who we are. That's when Lily walked in, eating a bag of Doritos. Did you guys see TMZ? Unfortunately, Ava muttered. That was ridiculous, like super ridiculous. Lily sat on the couch. But you know what I thought? What? Now that you two are officially dating and you kind of live here 3 days a week, I technically have 2 parents. Ava blinked. And I think I deserve double allowance. Nicholas nearly spit out his coffee. Lily, what? It's basic math. 2 parents equals 2 allowances. That's not how it works. Ava signed, trying not to laugh. It should be. You share responsibilities. I share the benefits. Fair deal. You already get $500 a month. And Jeff Bezos makes millions a second and no one complains. Lily, you're 15. Exactly. That's why I need more money. Being a teenager is expensive. The 3 of them laughed until it hurt. And in that moment, watching Lily make dramatic signing gestures about family finances, Nicholas trying not to laugh, and this chaotic little life they had built together, Ava realized something important. The past had happened. Caroline had died. Veronica had almost destroyed everything. She had been a housekeeper, but none of that defined who they were now. They had chosen to move forward, together, as a family. And that was everything. 3 months later, the foundation had already helped 347 children. Lily had become the official ambassador, giving talks in schools about inclusion. And Nicholas? Nicholas had finally learned how to make pancakes without burning them. Small victories, but victories. And when Ava looked at it all, the foundation, the family, the love, she thought it was worth it. Every hard moment, every fear, every tear, it was worth it. Some places carry memories, and Grace Community Church was one of them. 5 years ago, Lily had sat alone in the last pew, watching her mother being buried, feeling her world collapse. A year ago, she had watched her father marry the wrong woman, feeling her heart tighten. And today? Today, she was standing at the altar, as the maid of honor, smiling like she had just won the lottery. Because technically she had. The church was full. 300 guests, white and lilac flowers, Ava's favorites. A string quartet playing canon and D. And this time, unlike the disastrous wedding with Veronica, everyone was genuinely happy. Margaret Sutherland was in the second row wearing a normal hat, a miracle in itself. Richard Blackwell was smiling for the first time since the champagne incident. And even Reverend Thompson looked more relaxed, probably because no one was trying to kill anyone this time. Lily stood at the altar in a lavender dress, holding a small bouquet, practically vibrating with excitement. She looked at Nicholas, who stood beside her in a gray Armani tux, as nervous as a teenager at prom. Dad, breathe. You look like you're about to faint. I am breathing. No, you're not. You're holding your breath like a fish out of water. Lily, relax. She already said yes. The hard part's over. Now all you have to do is not trip, not forget your vows, and not cry like a baby in front of everyone. Nicholas laughed nervously. No pressure then. Exactly. Now smile. She's coming. And then the church doors opened, and Ava Granger appeared. Simple white lace dress, no veil, no excess, hair loose in soft waves, a bouquet of daisies, and the most beautiful smile Nicholas had ever seen. She walked down the aisle alone because she didn't need anyone to give her away. She had already given herself, by choice. And when she reached the altar, Nicholas had tears streaming down his face. "You look beautiful," he whispered. "You're crying," Ava replied, laughing softly. "I told you he'd cry." Lily signed to the guests, and half the church burst out laughing. Reverend Thompson cleared his throat, smiling. "Welcome, friends and family, to this celebration of love, courage, and, well, second chances." He looked at Nicholas and Ava. "It's not every day we witness a story like this, a story that began in silence, survived chaos, and blossomed into true love." Lily was signing the words for the deaf children from the foundation who were sitting in the front row. "Nicholas and Ava have written their own vows. Nicholas, would you like to start?" Nicholas took a deep breath, held Ava's hands, and began. "Ava Granger, 5 years ago I was lost, a widower, an absent father, a man made of work and guilt. And you were there, cleaning the house, taking care of my daughter, bringing life back to a place that had only silence." Tears were already running down his face, but I was too blind to see, too much of a coward to feel, until I almost lost everything. And you saved more than my life, Ava. You saved my soul." He squeezed her hands. "Today I promise that I'll never be a coward again. I'll never hide what I feel, and I'll spend the rest of my life showing you that you're not just the best thing that happened to us. You are us. You are family." Ava was sobbing. Half the church was too. Lily was signing and crying at the same time. "Ava?" The Reverend smiled. Ava wiped her tears, took a breath, and began. "Nicholas Hargrove, when I accepted the job as housekeeper in this house 4 years ago, I thought I was just going to mop floors and dust furniture." She laughed through her tears, "But I found something I didn't even know I was looking for. Purpose, love, family." Nicholas smiled, still crying. "You and Lily gave me something I never had, a place where I belong. And today I promise I'll spend the rest of my life taking care of that place. Not as a housekeeper, but as a wife, as a mother, as part of this family that I love more than words can say." Then she signed to Lily. "Thank you for choosing me too." Lily ran up and hugged them both, creating a crying sandwich in the middle of the altar. The church erupted in applause. The Reverend was crying too. "Well, I think we can skip to the rings," he said, wiping his eyes. Lily handed them the rings, which she had guarded so carefully she'd set an alarm on her phone to make sure she didn't forget them. "Nicholas Hargrove, do you take Ava Granger to be your wife?" "I do. With all my heart." "Ava Granger, do you take Nicholas Hargrove to be your husband?" "I do. Completely." "Then, by the power vested in me by the state of California, I now pronounce you husband and wife." The Reverend smiled. "You may kiss the bride." Nicholas pulled Ava into a kiss as applause, cheers, and laughter filled the church, while Lily signed for everyone to see. "Finally, a decent stepmom." The church burst out laughing. Margaret Sutherland laughed so hard her hat nearly fell off. And when Nicholas and Ava pulled apart, Lily stood between them, holding their hands, and signed to the whole church. It took 5 years, but now we're whole. And there wasn't a single dry eye at Grace Community Church, because this wasn't just a love story. It was a story of redemption, of justice, of courage, of a girl who refused to give up, of a housekeeper who became a hero, and of a man who finally learned that love doesn't need sound to be heard, only courage to be felt. 6 months later, Veronica Voss and Julian Lestrom were sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. The foundation reached 1,000 children served. Lily was accepted into UCLA with a full scholarship, and Nicholas finally learned to make pancakes without burning them. Small victories, but victories nonetheless. And at the Hargrove Mansion, now officially the Hargrove Granger Mansion, every night at 9, 3 people gathered in the garden. With hot chocolate, with signs flying between them, with laughter that didn't need sound. Because family isn't about blood. It's about choice, and they had chosen each other. Forever. And now a question for you. If you were Ava, would you have had the courage to record that conversation, knowing you could lose everything? Or would you have stayed silent to protect yourself? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know if you would have been as brave as she was. And speaking of that, on a scale from 0 to 10, what rating would you give to the story of Lily, Nicholas, and Ava? Was it an emotional 10? A fun 8? Tell us in the comments. Oh, and if you love this story of redemption, love, and a heroic housekeeper, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell so you don't miss any of our touching stories. Leave a like if you've been rooting for Ava and Nicholas from the very beginning. Because here, We believe in second chances, in true love, and in happy endings that we truly deserve. See you in the next story. And remember, sometimes the right person has been cleaning your house all along. See you soon.